That was strange. Usually I get a warning about Instagram. Happy Thursday, or I like Friday Junior. Almost Friday, but this Friday I won't be here. But Friday is a celebratory experience. It really is a big deal. I'm pausing because I'm trying to read. Here we go. Press go live there. Cool. We're working, and I'm trying something new. I've got Instagram to my right because nobody else, I never see it when it's in the corner. And I feel bad ignoring the Instagram people. One day, it is my sincere hope that one day we will have Instagram integrated with Restream so I can actually see them when they ask questions instead of ignoring them and saying, just come over to YouTube, because it works better on YouTube. You see Jerry Agar on screen? That's because he will be here at 10:35. And if you'd like to join in on the show, I suggest around 10:30, you call 416-872-1010 or text your questions into 71010, because we'll be going live on the air in the city of Toronto and everywhere else that the magical radio show on News Talk 1010, goes. It's a thing. And what else can I tell you about that? It's awesome. It's one of my favorite things to do is to join Jerry on the radio, because radio is cool. I grew up on radio. Like, I used to listen to music and every day on recess, and I know I'd go out with my AM, I don't even know if it was an FM, it may have just been an AM radio. And I hope I have it somewhere. It was like a little square box with a little silver tube and a round orb speaker on top. And I remember like being on the playground and hearing Ebony and Ivory playing every day at recess. It was my favorite song. I memorized the song as a kid. I mean, we're talking Snowcrest Public School in Toronto, North York in particular. Like, the radio has been a part of my life. That's how you got music. That's how you got everything. There was no CD. There was no MP3. I know I'm dating myself. What can I say? Yeah, what do we have pinned here? We got dad jokes pinned. Oh, I didn't want to press that. I pressed it by accident. We have two moderators today, moderator and Peter. So two moderators. So we're looking good. We got lots of help, lots of assistance, and I'm looking forward to an amazing show. And of course, 10:35 is when we are joined by Jerry Agar on News Talk 1010. We'll take him off screen because, I don't want to give him too much attention. People start calling now; it'll be weird. Tony, the producer, will be like, "Why you give my number away?" Anyway, we are on the podcast. Well, the platform's up there. We're not talking about podcasts yet. We're on those platforms because that's where you are. So wherever you're watching, we're so happy that you're joining us. This show is a show for you. It's all about you. If you don't ask questions, we got nothing to talk about. Well, that's not true. Peter and I can talk about Star Wars. He can educate me. I see 2 thumbs up there. He's all in. Are you a Star Wars fan? You should be following the Star Wars Cop. Actually, it's Star Wars Cop, except on Instagram because someone stole Star Wars Cop. You can go to Star Wars Cop on Instagram, and you can go and report that person for stealing his name. He put like 5 videos up and hasn't done anything with it in years. So go put in a report there. Please help the cause. But we're on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Kick, and X, and even on X, which thank you for reminding me, you can ask questions. Sadly, which TikTok thing? I've already forgotten which thing of the TikTok we want to do. The reboot? It's not working? Okay. I'm seeing it. How come you're not seeing it? All right, we'll try and do a little fix-up. Apparently there's an issue with the TikTok thing.
No, it's working.
Oh, it is working. Okay. Well, thank you for letting me know.
Read the private chat, please. Thank you.
Oh, that thing. Yeah, of course that's the thing. I understand now. Yeah, apparently I forget everything. Okay, let's go into TikTok here, and hopefully I don't crash the planet. I've got to what do I got to do? Went here, switching there. Oh no, I'm in the right place. How can I do this? Maybe I can't do this. I think I can't do. I think we had to have done it the other way. Don't worry about it. We'll fix it later. Okay, because I think I'm going to crash the live stream if I try doing it. I just realized that now. So sometimes the best laid plans don't work out. I didn't want to go live just to make him a moderator on another account. But you know what? We'll figure it out. We will figure it out. Okay, if you didn't know this, I'm about to tell you. The fact that we download and re-upload these episodes to make an archive, a podcast archive that you could then synchronize with your phone or whatever device you're using and listen to it while you are out and about doing your thing. You can synchronize and listen to it in podcast form, which means you're not burning your data or breaking the law, which is kind of a big deal. It's a $615 ticket for using your phone while you drive. We don't want anything to do with you doing that. It is a problem if you're doing that. Okay, I'm gonna just retweet this so that everyone on the YouTube see, we don't have our authorized thing. I'm jumping around like all over the place, multitasking. Let's get into real stuff. I had to retweet our show because our Twitter account is not allowing us to stream at the moment. We will be able to stream later, just not yet. Greetings and salutations from ASKaTrafficCop, who has a bunch of dad jokes that I think they were flagged, but now I'm flagging them possibly again. Some weird stuff going on. Tim Shallow says, good morning, Sean. Michael H. says, says morning, no good, and no Sean. Julie says, good morning, Sean, and everyone out there. And, we got a question from Raf on TikTok who wants to know about title in the car. We'll come back to that in a second. We got Evandro who's watching. He's our Brazilian fan and auxiliary officer with the Peel Regional Police. But he is a dedicated traffic person, wants to be involved with traffic enforcement when he becomes a police officer later. And he's educating his community, being the Spanish-speaking and Portuguese-speaking community, on everything we do here. He makes videos based on our content, and I think it's an awesome way to share education. And we're all about the education. Let's see here. We got a music suggestion of Crimson and Clover over and over from Michael H. ASKaTrafficCop is down for talking Star Wars. Okay, Peter, I'm going to do this for you. This is in honor of not May the 4th, but just your presence being here. Here is ASKaTrafficCop with his May the 4th message for your viewing enjoyment.
This is ASKaTrafficCop Cronus reminding you to stay safe, don't have a good day, have a great day, and May the 4th be with you. This is the way.
Did you hear the audio on that? Because I just realized my output was wrong. It came through? Okay, I'm glad. Let's change my audio output so I can actually hear things properly now, because it didn't come through my headphones. But if it came through for you, then it's good. That's the annual May 4th message, and that's ASKaTrafficCop in his is that jumpsuit? Is that what it's called? And Peter says you're his favorite now. He is definitely on the right path. Okay. We got questions here for Ashley. What is this? I don't know what the truth wants to know. Oh, does insurance find out about your no front plate ticket? Yeah, we'll talk about that. So back to that same question just from Raf about title in the car. We'll talk about that in a sec. Does insurance find that? We talked about that. I flagged it. Carl Johnson says, good morning, Sean. Buck says, excellent work. And let's see here. Robert seems to think that insurance. So, okay, I'll take this one out of order. Does insurance find out about a no front plate ticket? And here is an answer from Robert. But Robert, I'm sorry to tell you that you're incorrect. They find out about everything. You see, it's convictions that insurance companies see on the short list. And if you plead guilty or you're found guilty, no front plate is a conviction. So whether you pay it or you take it to court, that's a conviction. And here's what people really don't understand. They seem to think that only moving violations count. And they're wrong. You see, a moving violation carries demerit points more often than not, which means they find out it's a more serious offense. But a no front plate ticket is still an offense and still a conviction that is seen on a docket, on the abstract, and multiple less serious, even document offenses, are seen by insurance companies. And it's up to that insurance company to do with that information what they like. Now, my understanding is there's 3 to 4 categories of severity in insurance policies. And that charge of forgetting your license or not having your front plate goes to who you are. It's a minor, but multiple minors can make for a major. And that means it can affect your insurance. So when they tell you that it doesn't matter and it's just the subscription method, you're going to be paying your insurance premiums up the wazoo because you are not following the rules. So put a front plate on, get a adapter, a tow hook adapter. Like just don't run without a front plate if you are an Ontario car, because in Ontario you have to have it. This user wants to know how you can submit a suggestion. Do you mean a suggestion or do you mean a question? Because both are welcome. Suggestions, though, we're probably better off by going to TrafficCop.ca. And if you go to TrafficCop.ca, you actually have a magical opportunity to send me a message, ask me a question. But I think that's a great place. That sends it to me by email and through a form, and I'll get that and respond to you. But I absolutely appreciate any kind of suggestions that are being offered. Okay, let's get into something that I completely jumped past, and that is Vision Zero Enforcement Team. They are a dedicated group of officers who work diligently every day to try and make drivers safer, and they do that through enforcement. They're out there holding drivers accountable for the laws that they are choosing to break. If you break the law, you get a little reminder. Could be a big reminder depending on what you're doing, but at the end of the day, it is to try and dissuade people from being involved in the Big Four. We don't want people speeding, driving aggressively, driving distracted, driving impaired, because those are the activities, the choices, the driver behaviors we know lead to serious injury and death on the road. We want nothing to do with that. We want to prevent and protect our vulnerable road users, in fact, everybody who uses the road, because traffic safety is a shared responsibility. And our responsibility is involving making sure that you are being responsible. See? And then we all get along. Why can't we this is why we can't have nice things, because people can't follow basic rules. I have a great idea for a video series that I was having a conversation with. I have yet to tell Peter or moderator. I don't know who's moderator one, who's moderator two, but our I want to talk about this idea. I can't break it for you yet, because if I tell you about it, it'll be less cool when it happens. But I'm really excited about discussing this at some point with everybody. All right, let's get back into some questions, because I got a bunch of them pinned. Oh, Vision Zero. I should probably tell you where Vision Zero Enforcement Team is today. They are spending time in 52 Division and 33 Division, Kensington, Chinatown, Bay Street Corridor, Parkwoods, Donalda, Bayview Village, York Mills. They're neighborhoods where real people live, work, and play and deserve to be safe. And it's a big deal when you live somewhere and someone else is abusing the rules and making it less safe for the people you care about. And I don't know about you, but I have friends and family, and they, oddly enough, use the roads to get places and see stuff and do stuff. So when someone chooses to break the law and put others at risk, they could be putting your mom, your kid, your friend, your cousin. When someone is hurt because of a driver's choices, it's not just the driver who gets a ticket, the bumper that gets broken, and the person who gets hurt. It's about the communities they impact. It's so much bigger. Unfortunately, we've all seen far too much tragedy, and it's usually at the hands of a driver who made some really bad choices. By the way, Kayla is totally down for talking Star Wars. I think we're going to have a special edition episode coming soon. I see, you don't have the benefit of seeing the Star Wars cop right now, but he's like riding a roller coaster, hands above his head. He's very excited. I don't know why you're just not on camera, brother. Like all the time, you're just hanging on the show. Okay, let's see here. I can close this window, and I can go to that window, because I want to queue up something for a little bit later. Just checking in on the fine folks who are coming in from Instagram. Hello to you all. It is a better experience elsewhere, but I'm doing my best to include you. The interface, it leaves a little bit to be desired, but we're here to answer traffic and police questions. If you got them, send them. I'm doing my best to pay attention to you, even though YouTube is probably the best, and TikTok and all of them, they work better. TrafficCop.ca if you need links. Okay. Dad jokes are for later, quotes for later. Jonah, he wants to know what the law for tinted windows is, a percentage or officer discretion. And the answer, I got to tell you, is both, and depends, and two different charges for two different things. So if I had this great conversation, I think, Peter, we were talking about it yesterday. There's a charge for unsafe motor vehicle. And if your vehicle's tint is on the windshield or too dark on the windows left and right of the driver, then your vehicle is actually unsafe for the road, and we can pull your plates and send you packing on a tow truck, because you're not driving on the road with an unsafe vehicle. But it's different than having a tint that's simply too dark and is obscuring your plates. Obscuring your interior. So if I can't see who's inside, whether it's because it's dark outside and your tint is now obstructing the interior or obscuring the interior, well, in the moment that I observed it, it's not okay. So no tint or light tint is acceptable. Dark tint that prevents me from seeing what you're doing inside your car is illegal. Now people say, well, what's the big deal? I'm just trying to avoid being, having the car being hot. Solar load is a reality. It's sunny out there. Well, two things. One, I get it, but you can get UV coatings that help reduce solar load. You can also wear sunglasses that make your eyes far more comfortable while still not making your car illegal. When you start getting into preventing people from making eye contact, pedestrians, cyclists, looking for those nonverbal cues to be able to say, can you see me? And if we can't see, like I've been recently seeing more and more cars where it is blacked out. Every window in the car is limo tint. I don't know how they haven't hit anything yet because they're pretty cool cars. Some people say it's ceramic tints. Well, that's great for the people seeing out. If you can see out but we can't see in, it's a problem. They're not allowed to have reflective as well. So it's a $110 fine for color coding or reflective coating preventing us from seeing inside your car. Have to keep the title inside the car. So title is usually what they call it in the United States, and based on you asking it that way, I'm going to suggest that you check with your local authorities as to what your rules are, because I'm assuming you're not in Ontario, Canada, and every place has their own set of rules. That said, in Ontario, you can keep a photocopy in the car or on your person. You don't have to leave it in your car. There's no obligation to have it in your car. There is an obligation to surrender it to police upon demand. So if I pull you over, I'm going to ask you for your license, your ownership, and insurance, and you have to provide your actual physical driver's license unless you're from a place that has a digital version issued to you in lieu of a physical copy. But in Ontario, it's the original copy only, the actual plastic card. Then you have to either provide me with an original ownership document, which you would call a title, or a photocopy, true copy of both sides of the document. That's acceptable in Ontario. I would never leave it in the car because that leaves your personal information available for someone who breaks into your car. Then they have details of who you are. Definitely, I would never leave an original in there. And then, of course, insurance. Now, insurance is unique in Ontario. We accept either the original pink card that was mailed to you. There's a 30-day temporary, which they email you. And then there's the electronic copy through a secure app that is made available to you through your insurance provider. And not every insurance provider has that. Mine doesn't, so I carry the pink slip. It's in my wallet. I don't leave anything in my car. We already covered the do they know about the front plate while driving thing, so we'll move on to, is it illegal to eat while driving? The answer is, depends. It depends, because it's not an offense to have a hamburger in your hand. It is an offense to drive carelessly. So if your hamburger becomes, mayo and mustard on your shirt, which then results in you swerving all over the road, then the swerving all over the road because of the mayo and mustard is all a combination. It's not a charge for eating. It's the swerving and not controlling your vehicle safely. In other provinces, it's different, though. Distracted driving could be eating, could be drinking water, in fact. So it all depends on where you is. Abdul says, good morning. Can we drive in Ontario on an international driving permit, an IDP? Oddly enough, an international driving permit is not a driver's license. You might be asking about, so there's two things. You have your foreign license and an international driving permit, which is just a translation card. It does not give you any authority to drive. You need to have both present at the same time. Now, if you're in Ontario and you reside here, whether it be for work, school, or permanent residence, you must apply for an Ontario driver's license after 60 days of being a resident. You don't get to just drive around. Hang on one second. I just got an email. Oh, my goodness. And okay. We'll talk about those things. The producer, Tony, just sent me a message about things they want to talk about. So it's good. It's good. It's going to be an interesting segment. Let's see here. And then continuing on the whole international driving permit thing is, if you are from another country and your license is not in English, well, obviously you need an international driving permit so that you can be understood when you're here. Because if you hand me something that's in another language, I have no way of reading it to verify it, to run it into our computer system, so we won't accept it. And then you'd be charged for driving without a license, unfortunately. So, Abdul, it depends. If you got more information, if you're truly a visitor versus a resident, that changes things. You are able to drive with that in conjunction with your foreign license longer. Biggest Wang in town, which has Mr. Wang, thank you for joining the show. Someone stole my front plate. What do I do? You report it stolen, firstly. Then you go to the ministry and you get a new plate issued. There's no in between. You can't drive without a front plate. You can't just, say that, it was reported a month ago or it was stolen a month ago, but, I've got one at least, so it's okay. You got to make a police report because someone is probably using the 407 posing as you and then get it replaced. And there's really a very short order. Police report immediately and as soon as practicable, which could be the same day or the next day, but a month later, I'm sorry, I'm giving you a ticket. Can't tell me you got it stolen and you just never made it to the ministry. We talked about this already. We talked about that already. Sean or 9 wants to know if I can explain how municipal speed cameras work and how tickets are issued. I can't tell you the inner workings, primarily because I don't know. They used to use an SD card. That I do know because I watched them changing one at some point. Mind you, that was red light cameras. Oh, Moderator 1, fellow Star Warrior, is leaving. Thanks for your help so far. We'll catch you later. It was an inside chat that I should have just texted back. But anyway, essentially, if you're speeding, they give you a ticket. It's the simple thing. But they actually issue a ticket that is the responsibility of the registered owner, not of the driver. Now, that might be one and the same person, but it doesn't affect your driver's license. It's a monetary. It's a fine that is dollars and cents, but doesn't have demerit points. It doesn't affect your driving history. It is simply a fine that you are responsible for paying, and it affects your ability to renew if you don't. Renew your license plate. Yeah. So that's the thing. Am I allowed to drink non-alcoholic beer while I drive as it has no alcohol? It is a beverage which contains no alcohol that is called beer, and yes, you actually can, as long as it has no alcohol. I mean, now I will say this, non-alcoholic beer still has some alcohol in it. It's a very low percentage and it's lawful. But if you were to drink that and you were a driver that had a zero BAC requirement, condition on your license, you would blow more than zero. So you would not be able to have it because you would risk your license. But it's not considered an alcoholic beverage. It's not alcoholic. Very cool. I don't know. As I'm saying it, it sounds so wrong. But if it's truly non-alcoholic, it's not alcoholic. Okay, what is this? What is the thing that a G license can do and a G2 cannot do? I mean, what's the difference? I'm glad you asked this. The biggest thing is renew. I don't think you were expecting that. But renewing your license, you cannot renew a G2. It expires. And in order to get it again, you have to do the G2 test again. And that would mean that every 5 years you have to test. And maybe this is what we should have. Maybe we should have people retest every 5 years because that would make sure you still know how to drive, at least enough to get a G2. So, yeah, you need to be able to drive. Now, you also have conditions with a G2, and you have an accelerated consequence set. And it's called what's it called? I always mess this up. Increasing consequences? Essentially, if you Chase is coming in from IG today. If you were to get a ticket that carries 4 demerit points, you would get a suspension, a 30-day suspension, instantly on conviction. If you had more than 6 points accumulated with smaller tickets, you would get a suspension. And they are suspensions that start at 30 days, then 90 days, and then you get kicked out of the program. So you are not someone who has a permanent license by any stretch with a G2. What else can we do? You cannot have any alcohol in your system until you're a G-class driver who's at least 22 years old. So you always have to maintain 0 blood alcohol content as a G2. So renew, blood alcohol content above 0, and the other thing, the points, the fact that you would lose your license if you were, and maybe we need people to lose their licenses every time they get a demerit point ticket for 30 days. Would that change your driving behavior? Would that improve safety on the road? It's entirely possible. Okay, my. Two people want to turn on green to the same street. One is to left, the other is to right. Who goes first? Now, is it a signalized intersection? Is it a stop sign? What is it? The deal is this. Let's say it's going into a one-lane road. I don't think you specified. You don't. If it's two-lane road, you can both go at the same time, assuming you all go to the appropriate lane. If it's a one-lane road, you're both turning into. The onus, well, there's an onus for both. The right-turning vehicle has to ensure it can be made and completed safely. The left-turning vehicle has to do the same thing, but there is greater onus on the left-turning vehicle because they're crossing a live lane of traffic. They have more responsibility. If you come to meet in the middle, you both screwed up. You're probably both getting charged. It's an interesting predicament. I lost my G2 license. Can I still drive? Did you lose it because you were suspended, or did you lose it because you physically dropped the card down somewhere and it's gone? You need to go to the ministry and say you lost it, and they'll issue you a temporary, at which point you can drive. You cannot drive without a license in your pocket, but you certainly cannot drive without a driver's license that is valid. So if you lost it in the couch, go to the ministry, apply for another one. They'll instantly give you a green paper copy, and that will be permissible to use until they give you the plastic card in the mail at a later date. Okay, 1 second here. That work? Yeah, that worked. Okay, opening a link. Matt Fraser 295 has a question, and that question is: friend's insurance with friend whose car was in the accident be liable? I think I understand what you're asking. If you lend someone your car, you lend them your insurance too. So if they get into a crash, your insurance is paying the bills. They are responsible for the charges, and they will get a ticket, but the bills are yours. Your insurance rates will go up because you made a claim, and your rating with them, it will be impacted. Yeah. Be careful with whom you lend things to. Okay. Moving along. Time check. It's 10:29, so in 5 minutes, we'll be joined by Jerry Agar on News Talk 1010. Now, I will put that number on screen now, so if you want to try and call and catch them to be involved, and you can. But Ashton has a question that wanting to know if smoked glass legal, because if an emergency occurred, you could break the window easily. Tint is tint. Coating versus film doesn't really change anything. I'm not aware of smoked. Tint is smoked glass. That's the same thing. Is there a difference, Peter? Are you familiar with any difference between smoked versus tinted versus coated versus? I don't know. I think we're talking about nuanced changes that doesn't. To me, if it's tinted, it's tinted. It's about what I can see. I've never measured the coating thickness before, but so I don't know where we're going with this. Is it okay to pull over to the left shoulder of the highway? So here's the deal. The Highway Traffic Act says you must pull to the nearest curb or edge of roadway if you're on a multiple lane highway that is, what's it called? Separated. Divided. It's a divided highway. Divided highway means there's an obstruction. There's either there's essentially curbs or edge of roadways on either side, dividing north and south or east or west. And if it's divided, it may be safer and more practical for you to pull over to the leftmost lane or edge of roadway to let an emergency vehicle pass. So it is okay. But very often, and most often, police want you to pull over to the right. It's safer for you to re-enter the roadway from the slowest lane rather than going into the fastest lane. And if you're talking about pulling over because your vehicle becomes disabled, you get off the roadway as quickly and easily and safely as you can. And sometimes that is the left, and that's when police come and block a lane so you can re-enter. So, yeah, it's okay. Not always the best choice, but it's okay. Okay, question about headsets. If I have my headset hooked up to my cell and I reach to put on my headset, ... Now, 3 dots is called ellipses. What's 4 dots? I don't know. Anyway, you can reach and put your headset on. That's not against the law. Touching your actual phone is against the law. If you are, you're permitted to answer a phone call with one button, whether it be your headset or your phone. That's not a problem. So I'm not entirely sure what we're talking about. But because you hooked your headset up to your cell, whether it be wireless or wired, it doesn't really change anything. It's legit. Okay. Noel Pereira wants to know, how long do I have to wait to change my British Columbia license to Ontario license when I moved? So your vehicle, if you brought a vehicle from British Columbia, you have 30 days to register that vehicle. You have 60 days to apply for an Ontario license. So that's a thing. Okay. Yeah, 30 days for your vehicle. I think they should make it the same for both. It doesn't make any sense to have them different, but 30 days to register your vehicle and get Ontario plates. While you're there, you might as well get your license done too. Makes sense to me, I think. I think it makes sense to everybody, except the Ministry of Transportation, who has 2 different dates. Just saying. I want to have a quick read here. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to play a magical recruiting video that will take us for about a minute and a bit, and that will allow me to read the 3 emails or the 3 links that I was sent and prepare for News Talk 1010, who will be joining us in just a moment. Did that button work? No. Yeah, there it goes.
Your future career starts with a vision. A vision of opportunities ahead, where you can see a path to a noble career, serving the city of Toronto. Where do you see yourself? Toronto Police Service. Apply today.
Peter just jumped in the office and said, hey. I was reading and he's like waving. Cool. Oh, News Talk 1010 is here. Hello, News Talk 1010.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I've got no complaints. I can leave you. I can leave you on if you leave the audio down and come join it, or just give me a 30-second notice by text would be awesome. But we're good to go when you are.
Well, stand by. We'll be up in about 30 seconds here.
30 seconds, awesome. Well, you didn't even need to give me another notice. I'm ready. I'm reading a quick article. Give me a second, folks, as I ignore you while I look over here for 30 seconds, because I want to know that I know stuff before we talk about stuff. Interesting. Huh. I bet you wish you knew what I was reading, but I can't share it with you until we talk about it live.
You're listening to Jerry Agar on the iHeartRadio Talk Network.
Hey, it is time to dip into the TikTok Traffic Show that is run by Sean Shapiro. TikTok Traffic Cop at Traffic Services is where you find it, or right here on the radio. Sean, good morning.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Okay, tell us about this. Issued a traffic ticket. The City of Toronto urges caution over third-party payment companies.
Well, it appears there's a bunch of scammers out there who take your money, pretending to be something that they aren't. And it looks like, a Toronto-related site. They take your cash, they don't pay your ticket, and then, well, you still have a conviction.
Okay, because the city comes and says, well, you didn't pay your ticket. And you go, yes, I did, but somebody else took the money and ran.
Well, and that's the whole issue, is that they're not affiliated at all. I've been getting a whole bunch of these text messages telling me that I got a ticket too. So the problem is you have to talk to the appropriate people. Don't trust the internet, especially when something that looks convenient. Nothing convenient with government. It's very difficult.
Yeah. Well, yes. You're not telling us anything new there. But I guess the deal is if you get something like that, don't click on their link. Go, okay, where would I go if I wanted to know if I had a traffic ticket, and just look up the city?
Well, especially if you're being provided a link in an email, don't
Yeah.
click that. Go to the City of Toronto and start there. The problem is when you're Googling for payment options, there are other companies that say they'll do it for a service fee. You know what? Unfortunately, if you're not in a position to physically go into a place, you need to speak to the city and get directions from them as to how they want you to handle it.
Here is Jerry from Scarborough. What's your question, Jerry?
Yeah, Sean, I was in Burlington the other day, and there's this one street where it's the whole main drag, and then when I came up to this street, all there was a crosswalk to go onto it, and I could see that the light wasn't changing, and I had to turn left, so I didn't even wait for that crosswalk sign. Did I break the law there?
I wish I knew where you were and I had a visual to. I have no idea what intersection or what that looks like. But if there's no one around and the crosswalk lights are flashing and there's not a soul in sight, I don't think that you're in a big situation. Sometimes those lights flash, they malfunction. The idea is to draw attention to the fact that there could be someone there, and if there's truly no one there and you've given every effort, I think you're okay.
I have never seen this ever before.
All right. But he's saying you were probably okay. I find that sometimes it seems like those lights go for a lot longer than they need to after somebody has activated them to walk across.
If we're talking about pedestrian crossover lights, yeah, they're really there to draw much attention, and they're taking into consideration that pedestrians move at different speeds. Some of the elderly may take longer, the young kids may scoot across, and the big thing there is while the lights are flashing, it's to draw attention to the intersection, but it's your responsibility to ensure that all pedestrians have left the intersection before you can proceed. And that's something that many people are not doing. I see it all the time where as soon as the pedestrian crosses halfway across the road, they start driving. And we're talking about pedestrian crossovers. These are ones that are not related to an intersection, not a regular crosswalk, and they have these lights and proper signage. Those require you to be all the way off the road. At an intersection like at Yonge and Steeles, as soon as the pedestrian's halfway past or they're past you, they're on the other half of the road, you can proceed with caution. It's different, unless, of course, there's the crossing guard in place, and then you have to wait until everyone's off the road.
Here is Dom from Toronto. Go ahead, Dom.
Oh, hi. Thanks, Jerry. Sean, people that have an extra parking pad next to their driveway, but the actual sidewalk has not been altered. I got into a bit of a kerfuffle because I said, well, your sidewalk is regular size. I can park here. You've made a pad, but what can I tell you? Who's in the wrong here?
So a lot of this has to do with whether or not it's a permitted pad, if you're allowed to have that pad. Simply pouring concrete doesn't make it legal. So this is really a question that Aaron Urquhart, who is our TPS_bike cart parking guru, would be best in play to answer. So maybe we'll have to put it off until she's around, because she's talked about this on my show before. I'm just not the right person to ask.
Okay, but what seems to be happening, I'm jumping in the middle here, Dom, is that you've got a parking pad that somebody added onto their property, but there's a sidewalk there. So they're trying to claim now the sidewalk is being part of their exit route. I could see why somebody would say, no, you just because you put that thing on your lawn doesn't mean I can't park here.
Exactly.
Thanks for clarifying that, because you can't drive on the sidewalk just because you want to get to your private property.
Yeah. All right.
One more quick thing, Jerry.
Go ahead.
Jerry.
Oh, he's back.
Yeah, I'm still here. The second question, with regards to intersections and pedestrian crossing, are those lights ever going to be changed with the hand and the walking guy? It's a mass confusion all over. You think the city will ever fix that?
That's trying to tie the future. I don't know. But I just, Sergeant Campbell's sitting next to me, and he was saying that, to your first question, if the curb is not cut, and that doesn't mean that you cut it yourself, if the curb wasn't cut and there's no place to safely enter the sidewalk to get onto your parking pad, it's not a legal spot.
All right. And well, then the other one, he's right. That countdown thing causes mass confusion because pedestrians seem to believe that's how long they have to cross the intersection. That is incorrect. When the red hand comes up, you're not supposed to enter the intersection. But that wouldn't be changed by somebody like you. That would have to be a city hall thing, I
Oh,
would
for
think.
sure. And actually, those countdown timers are really important because they're designed to allow people who are already illegally in the intersection. It gives them an idea to know how much time they have before the cars start coming. And it's really to help those, again, who are maybe elderly and have to judge how much time they have. So they're important. I don't see them going away anytime soon.
Here's Bill from Peterborough. Go ahead, Bill.
Hey, Sean. Thanks for having me on. Quick question. If you've been charged with careless and you were to look at the back of the ticket, it has three options. You either pay it out or you go see maybe what you call a district attorney or you go to court. The second partial where you want to get the charge lowered down and you go see somebody to talk about getting it lowered, does that person, like the district attorney or whoever that person is, do they see the police notes or do they see the accident report, or is there a difference?
When you go to a larger, more serious offense, there's going to be a case briefing, and they'd have all access to that. If it's simply a ticket they'd see the evidence written on the back of it. So it depends on how serious. If it's a collision report, they'd have all of that attached. If they have a simple ticket, they're going to see that as well. So careless driving doesn't necessarily have to be associated with a collision. And if you choose a first appearance, that is to have a discussion with a prosecutor who may offer you a deal, or if you don't like the deal, you can proceed to court anyway. The other option is paying the ticket, which is essentially pleading guilty and paying the face, but which I think in that case is $495 and comes with 6 demerit points. If you go with the third option, which is going straight to court, you can possibly negotiate something before court starts, or take it to court and have your day.
But the prosecutor that you were just talking about, do they have? Will they see the police notes? Like that's what I was wondering. If the police notes and for everything. Okay, thank you, Sean.
Thanks for your question. Here is Matt from Etobicoke.
Gentlemen, good morning. Quick question in terms of the HOV lanes, be it QW 4443, whatnot. So you have the double solid line where you cannot enter or exit. I get that. But where the entrance and exit are, where it's these dotted lines to change lanes, if I'm a single person in the fast lane, can I go around the car in the HOV lane and get back before the double line starts again, double solid line starts again?
So it's a good question. Many people have asked it. First of all, you're only allowed to enter that if you're eligible to use it. So if you're a single occupant, you would not be able to lawfully do that. Also, I'm going to suggest that you might be speeding if you're passing people in the fast lane and needing to go so much farther into the HOV lane to get past them. You might want to slow down.
Okay, but from a technical standpoint, if he had a passenger with him, he could, in that circumstance, use it as a passing lane.
Well, you know what? I would say it's an unsafe practice. I would suggest simply moving into the HOV lane and using that lane as opposed to trying to make a quick movement. Because by the time you get into it, you're going to be in a solid lane again, and or solid line situation. And while I often talk about lines not being enforceable, those are enforceable because they're supported by posted and regulated signs.
All right, thanks for your call, Matt. Before we're done here, Kelly, what's your question?
Hi, just quickly. I know that parking lots are private property. If you are in a parking lot and you have like an accident, someone hits your car, or this happened to my daughter last week, someone opened their door into her car while she was moving into a spot. Her car was quite damaged. The other car was not. Do you need to go to a collision center? So, if it's over $2,000 damage?
If it's over $2,000, yes, it is a reportable collision. Okay. Although charges wouldn't be laid, it is a reportable collision, and both drivers have an obligation to exchange information even on private property.
Okay, because the other person did. I was just curious. We did figure it out, but the other person, I was just 100% make sure my daughter understands she did the right thing by going.
You can never go wrong reporting it, and truly any damage, any minor collision or contact could result in damages well over the threshold because it's combined amongst both vehicles. And a scratch on a Mercedes, just using that as an example, could be $5,000. So that's why the province has actually been exploring increasing the minimum to $5,000 because so many things are that expensive.
All right. Thanks, Kelly. Appreciate it very much. Sean, always good to have you. You continue for a while on TikTok.
We're going to keep it going.
All right, that's at Traffic Services. Sorry we couldn't get all the questions today. Appreciate it, but Sean will be back in a couple of weeks. Absolutely. This is the iHeartRadio Talk Network.
Okay, we'll put them in the background. Thanks so much, News Talk. And we're back, and Sergeant Campbell has joined us, so I can shuffle over. This is...
See, I'm not famous like you are, so I don't get the radio spots. I just get to hang out with you here.
Well, this is we got to get you on the radio more. In fact, I think it was Zoomer. The very first time I went on Zoomer, we did it on a conference call together.
We did, yes.
Yeah, that's already a long time ago.
Yes, it was.
It's amazing. It's funny. I still think that this is like an everyday is new, and it's kind of Groundhog Day in many respects. But we've been doing this for like 3 years or maybe more.
And you told me a stat the other day, how many episodes we've done so
this
far.
year, just this year.
And how is that?
I think this is now 84th episode, maybe the 84th episode this year, which is shocking.
Good. That's pretty good.
And that's not including all the other content that we've created and the years that we've done in the past. So it really there must be 300 plus. Actually, hang on a second.
And all the other work that I give you as well.
Yeah,
along with doing this.
But this is definitely the fun work. But it's all fun work actually. Let's see if I go to my channel and then we look at the. Oh, no, I have to go to my videos.
We're both looking down right
That's
now.
okay. It's important stuff. Does it say how many? 326 videos. No, that's just videos. How many lives? 692 live stream videos have been created. That's a whole lot of hours.
That is.
Plus the 300 videos.
But it's usually not an hour. It's usually an hour and a half to sometimes 2.
So I think it's been like under 10 times where it's been 2 hours, but there have been those days, especially if I've got a short week or I've come back from vacation, I feel really bad for having left everybody in the lurch for a period of time. But it's awesome. It's awesome that we can do this because so many people have come and told us and closed the loop saying this has really changed their lives. It's really benefited them in some way. They're either better, safer drivers because of it, or they've been able to become the star of the show at a party because they answered all the questions. And it's really cool to get that feedback.
Yeah. It is actually. And you know what? Even that feedback coming in person, last weekend we were both at the Molson Indy. Used to be the Molson Indy, the Honda.
Yes.
Toronto Honda Dealers Indy. And we saw
Did you say Toronto Honda? It's the Ontario Honda Dealers Indy. It has taken so much work to try and change that. And by next year, they'll change it again, I'm sure.
I'm sure they will.
But it is great. And we met people from all over the province who came in for the race and came up and say, we watched the show. So very cool. Truly. Okay, we've got a question from Steve, but I already answered it. So let's take that one off because that would be silly. What can we do if we capture video of someone running a stop sign twice and turning on a red? Well, that's other than be really frustrated, you can put in an online report with the Toronto Police Service. We have an online form at tps.ca. But, sadly, we're rarely in a position to be able to lay charges for that, because we don't have the required information, what's required of us to lay the charge, which is identifying the driver, time, date, location, and vehicle. But I will tell you that I love that kind of footage. If you have video footage, and you could always send it to me by going to TrafficCop.ca. I may not be able to act on it, but I might be able to put it on social media and use it as an educational piece.
And there are times that the driving complaints actually do get followed up by divisional police officers. Contact is made with the owner of the vehicle to find out who was driving, and a caution, actual proper caution, could be issued towards that person if there's not enough evidence there to identify the driver, the date, time, and location that it occurred, and have enough evidence to secure a conviction when we go to court.
100%. And to double down on that, if we have people who are catching this stuff and reporting it online, that creates a history of information. If we then pull over that driver and they're doing something in front of us, many officers are looking at that history, if not all the officers are looking and saying, hey, am I going to give this person a break? Am I going to reduce this? Is this going to be a charge? If it's something minor, they may be considering that. And if they read that report that this was being reported 30 times, that they're doing it all over the city and they're a menace, they're not getting a further chance.
No, I can guarantee you that we get a ticket at that point. I would just explain it like we're not around for all collisions, but we do go afterwards and we do investigate. But we talk to witnesses there. And if those witnesses can't identify who was driving that vehicle at the time, we have a tough time putting that person, even charging that person for the collision. But if they can identify the date, time, location, and the person driving that had the bad driving behavior, that's when we can take that evidence and put it before a court for a justice of the peace to decide the guilt or innocence.
I like it. The Accidental Trucker says, just have to say big thank you for the wonderful job educating us on all the fine details of the law. Well, thank you very much for the thank you. Oddly enough, we talk about the closing the loop, and that's the kind of loop closure that it gives us the warm fuzzies. It's great to hear that you're enjoying it, that it's beneficial, and thank you for letting us know your thoughts. Yeah.
Yeah, what he said.
Yeah. What's the purpose of a roundabout? Canadian Jesus. Or Jesus.
Love it.
So I have such mixed emotions about roundabouts because I like the fact that I can continue doing 15 kilometers an hour safely around something designed to keep traffic moving safely, and it's considered safer because there's fewer pinch points. But I also see people who don't understand what they are, and they're an absolute menace on the road.
If all drivers were able to understand and use roundabouts properly, they are much safer, faster. Can you imagine sitting for 3 or 4 minutes at a red light where you don't have to, when you could merge in when it's safe to do so and exit out when it is safe to do so, and keep the flow of traffic constantly going all 4 directions, or sometimes 6, 8 directions?
Yes, those are big. Those are it's beneficial.
Oh, absolutely.
However, in the neighborhoods that I frequent, I see people who don't understand who has the right of way. I have people in roundabouts who see you coming and they stop. I have people who accelerate to make it in front of you in a roundabout because they don't understand that they have to yield. And all they do is slow down slightly.
Let you go by and then they can come in. No, using a roundabout, the person in the roundabout has the right of way. If you've entered it correctly to start with, you have the right of way to go around the roundabout and exit where you signal that you're going to exit.
Yes, you enter, you don't need to signal, although some driving instructors or schools are suggesting signaling in. I don't know how you signal straight. I don't understand that. You certainly can't signal left into a roundabout unless you're in England. Yeah. But it makes no sense to signal entry. You enter, you follow to the curve, and as the next exit is yours, you signal out.
So the idea of signaling left, I think, is because you always enter at 6 o'clock, and you're planning to leave at the 9 o'clock. So that would be sort of like a left turn at a four-way intersection here.
So confusing.
That is what I think it is used in Europe for.
Maybe, but I don't like it.
Nope. I like going in when allowed to do so, and then signaling when I plan to exit. And if I miss my exit the first time, I'll go around again.
Works for me.
There's a lot of roundabouts that I have seen, not in this country, but sometimes they are just a white dot painted in the middle of the street. And that is a roundabout as well. And people in Europe, Scotland, Great Britain, they will treat that exactly the same as a large roundabout and do it properly. It's amazing how it works.
Well, because they're taught better. And I have to say that because they really do. Europeans in general, I think everybody outside of Ontario drives better. I don't know what it is about Ontario, but we have some really bad drivers.
Yeah, I agree.
And Europe in particular has phenomenal drivers. It's more expensive to become a driver. I want to say that the enforcement is stricter. You break the rules there, there's no getting away with anything.
Right.
And there's both photo and actual heavy police presence. So, yeah. I'm looking for the cost of the, someone asked, what's the cost of the fine for not signing the ownership in ink? Oh.
110.
Permit in ink, what's that one? No set fine? Is that new?
No. Failing to sign, $110, no points.
So what's that one?
Guarantee you, that's an OREG.
Sign permit in ink. I've never seen it like that. So I couldn't find it.
That's an Ontario regulation. That's different from the Highway Traffic Act one.
Oh, interesting.
There you go.
I can't even find the other one now.
Trust me, it's there.
I believe you.
Section 7, I believe.
7? Okay.
I'll look it up. You talk.
Sounds good. What can I do with an M1? M1 is a motorcycle learner's permit. It allows you to ride a motorcycle alone from a half an hour before sunup till a half an hour after sundown, so you don't get stranded if the light changes slightly differently than you were planning. It does not allow you to travel on roads that have speed limit over 80 kilometers an hour. Oddly enough, you should not be doing anything over the speed limit, and you shouldn't be on a road that has speed limits higher than that. In addition, you're not allowed to carry passengers. So people say, well, how come a G1 requires me to have a passenger with a license supervising and an M1 doesn't? Probably because you'd be hard-pressed to find someone with a motorcycle license willing to get on the back of a bike with you because they know better. You need to be able to, go ahead.
The one you looked up was an IRP cab card or a special transportation permit for an overside or overlength load.
Good.
That is the one. That's why it's.
I looked
no
up
set
ink.
fine.
Yeah, that's why I just looked up the word ink trying to make it fast and special. So it's $110 for the other one, which answers Evandro's question of what's the fine for not signing the ownership. $110. But you know what? I got to tell you, I've never laid that charge. I've handed people pens, though, if they're the owner.
And I do exactly the same thing. Before you give that to me, sir, you may want to have a look at that signature portion down there and adjust it if you're the owner of the car.
And it's just, and why do we want people to sign it? We want people to sign it so that we reduce the chances of somebody coming across that ownership and simply signing the car to themselves.
Yep. Or selling it to an unsuspecting buyer without them knowing, and all of a sudden the buyer's out some money, some criminal has got some money in their pocket and can't be found anywhere. There you
go. During a traffic stop, can an officer remove my key from my motorcycle? So I can tell you that I've done it, whether I was allowed to or not. There was a concern that this person was going to flee, and there was a surefire way to prevent them from doing that. They had already given me indicators that I could articulate in court, if need be, to say that I had a severe concern that that person was going to run. Now, the other option would be to tackle them, and I don't think that would have been the better option.
Right. So maybe taking the key out is an appropriate action. I've had people step out of the car before because I don't want them to drive away, because they're giving me indicators that quite possibly they will.
Asking them to put their keys on the roof, so they give you enough indicator time to respond. So if something was going to go south, so these are all reasonable things. There's no rule that says you can't, and there's no specific explicit justification or statement saying you can. Yep. But the wonderful thing about law is what you can articulate, you can usually do.
Right. Maybe a suggestion would be give me your key. I'm going to put it over here on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
And it's going to take you 10 seconds to jump off your bike, run over there, get the key, jump back. In that time, I'm going to respond, and you're not going anywhere.
And that's it's all about safety, and it's all about responding to the indicators. I think that's really the big thing. If you're being polite and acting, what I want to say is normal, there's no reason for me to have any. It was not something I did on every stop.
Right.
It was based on your behavior. There you go. That is a tough one right there. Can you say hi to me? No. Hi, how you doing? Thanks for saying hi. This is a new name I've never seen.
All right.
And,
Who is it?
And this is, I don't know how to say your name. That's why I just said no, because I don't know how to pronounce the username, which may be a company name because you have a cool logo to go with it. Just saying. We talked about this. Are you allowed to drive a vehicle barefoot or with sandals? Well, I'll tell you one vehicle you certainly want to not drive barefoot, and that is my old mountain bike that had those toothy, pegs or foot pedals.
Oh yes, the bear claw pedals.
The ones that hit my shin all the time when they slipped. Yeah, don't do that. In terms of driving a motor vehicle, a car, a motorcycle, a truck,
anything.
There's no law, but it's not advisable. It's not suggested. We certainly don't think it's a good idea.
Yeah, there's no law saying you can't do it, but think about the bigger picture. If you're driving barefoot and you get into an event of a collision and there's debris and glass and stuff like that, and you have to get out of your vehicle at some point, you don't want to be running away from your vehicle if it's damaged or smoking or something like that through the glass without any shoes on. Sandals, great, comfortable, nice. They tend to fly off, though.
And they can also become dislodged under pedals in weird ways. They get stuck. Pedal confusion is a thing, and then pedal stick. I don't know what word we can call it.
You're talking about like your sandal gets stuck underneath the brake, and the brake doesn't work anymore, and well, that could be a problem.
I mean, they're outliers. They're not normal events, but they happen.
So, is it legal? Yes. Is it advisable? Definitely not.
Evandro would like to know, when we have a baby on the car, hopefully in the car, is it considered a passenger for HOV lane or not? Humans are humans. There's no age requirement. There's no employment. Someone said they have to be employed going to work in order to be counted. No.
Nope.
Babies count as people, even if they are crying or misbehaving. Some people don't consider their animals, they're what is it, the rugrats, the human. They're human. Furry ones, not so much.
Yes. Your fur babies, your dogs, cats, everything else, no, they don't count.
But babies definitely do. Let's see here. We have, is it legal?
Oh.
must have a meeting coming up, which means I must have. Let me see what that is. It's probably important. It's flashing on my screen. One reminder. Yes, in 30 minutes I have a meeting, so we have to wrap up soon.
There you go.
Is it illegal for me to have an electric converter kit on my mountain bike in Ontario? That's
Electric.
Yes. So gas-powered ones are a no, but you can buy electric hubs to convert your bicycle into a e-bike.
As long as it meets certain criteria.
It has to have a motor no bigger than 500 watts. Most of them are 350 watt conversion kits. I've not seen big hubs, but that doesn't mean they don't exist. So 500 watt maximum. It must not have a it must not have the capability of driving that mountain bike more than 32 kilometers an hour. If there's a switch on it that says 50 kilometers an hour and 32 kilometers an hour, that is not legal. It has to be maxed out, not modifiable to go anything above 32. And obviously you have a mountain bike, so you have pedals that are functional, so you'd be good there. Your bicycle would likely qualify as a pedelec if there was no throttle attachment. It was only that was going to augment the work you were doing when you were pedaling. And that sounds like a pretty good option. And there's a number of companies making conversion kits. I even saw a unicycle, like an actual, it was an old-timey bike. You know, the big front wheel with the tiny rear wheel.
Yep,
You have to
take
a ladder.
Penny farthing.
A who's he wedding?
A penny farthing.
No
That's
kidding.
what they're called.
I did not know that. I'm not even going to waste time remembering that, actually.
There you go.
Penny farthing. Okay. But that's the deal.
The penny was larger than a farthing. A farthing was like a 10. It's the coins that were used in the olden days back in England. There you go.
That is something I'm shocked that
there you go.
I'm shocked.
The things I know.
Yes, I know lots of useful things, useless things. I've yet to be able to share all of them. That's cool. You can get that one in there. Off the grid Bronco. What are your thoughts on car meets in Toronto? Laws being abided, of course. So if you're having a car meet, a car show, we talked about this yesterday.
What do you mean a car meet? Just a get together and show off your cars?
If you've got a Bronco, he's probably not driving like a squiddy type, lawbreaker.
Broncos don't break laws?
I don't think they only run from police for long distances on television.
Only if you're O.J. Simpson.
That's right. But if you are just meeting to show off your ride and having a coffee, there's nothing wrong with that. And in fact, I used to do that every week with my motorcycle friends. And that's great. It's camaraderie. It's community.
If you're at a location that's allowed, if you're in a parking lot that allows this to happen, no problem at all. The takeover events, not so much. The stunt driving in these private property parking lots, not so much.
100%.
Enjoy your cars, show off your cars.
Follow the law.
But follow the law.
Yeah, it's about being a good neighbor. A lot of what we need to do is just about being a good neighbor. The treat unto others thing, it's real. If you don't want someone waking you up, don't wake them up. Like it's with no loud noise and screechy tires and ruining the pavement. Daniel wants to know I'll read it verbatim. Sean, when you issue warnings, do they receive paper record? I don't know. Yes. When we issue, we could do a verbal. Not. There could be a verbal warning. I could say, "Don't do that again. Have a nice night," and that is just a verbal warning. There's no record of it. If I, other than the fact that I ran your plate, and there may be that record, but if I give you a provincial traffic warning, or what is it called? Provincial offenses warning, POW, then there is a record, and it's in our system, and it's effectively a ticket that has no action after it's issued. It just has where you were, what your information is, what our information is, and the offense that you were observed doing. And big bold print says this is not a ticket. No action.
Right. And we get to see it anytime anybody else pulls you over subsequent to that.
Mm-hmm.
They may use that information that's there to judge whether they should issue another warning or maybe a ticket this time.
Tamim says, some driver, HOV line, they are coming bumper to bumper and putting high beam light. What should I do? This is where you're in the HOV lane during the speed limit, I assume, which is what the maximum lawful limit is in the HOV lane. And then someone behind is treating it as a speed lane, and they are getting behind you and trying to bully you to go faster. Listen, my opinion is you do your speed limit and you do what you're comfortable doing, and don't let the numpty behind you push you to do something illegal or unsafe, because that's what they're doing. That's their problem. Sadly, people bully.
The whole benefit, the whole idea of having an HOV vehicle lane is when traffic is slowed because of congestion.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that are combining travel routes together so the multiple people are going in one car get the benefit to go a little bit faster. The speed differential is just a little bit faster than everybody else that's stuck in the congested lane. It's not a speed lane. It's not a lane for going out and passing everybody. It's there for the specific purpose of when traffic has slowed.
Almost to a
just
standstill. And then what people get wrong is speed differential. They do the speed limit when no one else is moving. And then you get the one person who says, I qualify for that lane, I'm going in. And they hit the gas and they jump in front, and then tragedy occurs when there's a giant collision and it's a 100 kilometer an hour to zero, not moving. And people, unfortunately, get seriously injured, if not worse. It is unbelievable. Go Google it. HOV collisions, they're horrific to watch. And shock, like it's worth seeing one. You'll never do it again. Like you'll never do the stupidity thing. So be very careful when entering, and be very careful when traveling past stop traffic. I wouldn't do more than 40 or 50K over stop traffic.
And I'm going to say this: if you do not need to be in the HOV lane,
don't,
because you may qualify for it, but you don't need to because traffic is moving freely on all the other lanes. Don't go in it. Let the numpties, as you called them, travel down there, because usually that's the lane that police are watching and monitoring, and we'll be stopping them
for sure. But it's also going to make you safer not being there in the event that something happens.
Yep.
So just use it with caution. So here is, can I drive a Suron in the bike lane? Well, I've got some bad news for you. You cannot drive a Suron on any road. You cannot drive a Suron on a bike lane, on a regular road, on a bike path, on a side. You cannot drive the Suron. It is not street legal. The Suron is the bike that we often talk about because it's really cool, it's really fast, but its motor is larger than what is permissible to be in an e-bike qualification. Its top speed is well above. Even if you're just driving at the limit of 32 kilometers an hour, it is capable of so much more, which makes it a motorcycle, not an e-bike.
And unfortunately, it's a motorcycle that can never be licensed or insured or plated for the road. So you're going to get an awful lot of tickets operating a Suron anywhere on any road in Ontario.
Private property only, and it's an off-road
or
vehicle.
off-road.
Yeah. And then the question is, so not only would you get all the tickets, you'd also get the bike lane ticket because it's not permitted there. So before we get into this one, we need rules on the Suron and electric bike community. You got rules, you can't have them. But just to further this, if you I lost my train of thought. What the heck was I going to say?
I don't know.
Why not?
Normally I do, but
yeah, this one I zigged and zagged and lost it. Would a pregnant woman qualify for HOV if they were accompanied by another person who has already gone through the canal or I don't know. They have to be born. They have to be born.
Wow, I can't believe you just said that.
I don't know. Well, yeah, wow. I don't know. It's okay, moving on.
So no, they would not qualify.
They do not qualify until the time that person has a birth certificate issued. They don't qualify for the purposes of HOV.
Yeah.
HOV. Lane. Still can't remember the Suron thing I was going to say. They are impressive though.
I like them, but they're an electric motorcycle.
Yes.
Just like Harley Davidson has an electric motorcycle, or other companies have an electric motorcycle that can be qualified to be licensed and plated on the road.
And maybe this is where I was going. You can't take e-bikes that look like motorcycles, even if they are incapable of going faster. They can't go on cycle tracks. The only ones that can go on cycle tracks are the ones that look like bicycles.
Right, just like the mountain bike conversion we talked about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
If it's a pedelec, it can go on a cycle track. But any of the qualified as e-bikes can go on cycle lanes and sharrows, which is just the side of the road. But cycle tracks are separated from regular lanes, and there's more rules. Okay, turning your emergency equipment on. Does the ICC start as I've only been provided body-worn camera in disclosure?
Depends.
It does depend. Generally speaking, in a car that has ICC, it does activate it. But I don't know. I've not taken body-worn camera training. I've never been issued one because I'm not on the road anymore. So I don't know how that works.
All depends on the equipment. Our motorcycles don't have in-car camera. Our bicycles don't have in-car camera. Not all of our vehicles, including the one that I operate, it doesn't have an in-car camera system in there. But the body-worn camera should be on most frontline, forward-facing priority response officers.
What he said. What to do if someone faking an officer in Canada if to come across one? I think you mean impersonating a police officer. I think.
I would go with that.
So if you come across someone and you are suspicious as to whether they are actually a police officer, ask to see their badge and warrant card, and you can always call the police station. And like with any fraud, call the police station, not the number they provide you for the police station, because they could be giving you a fake number. It is unlikely. It is rare that we find people truly pretending. Most of us will have very legitimate information, police radio and everything attached. And, a supervisor could attend, but again, you can call a local division, ask who the badge number belongs to, and make sure that you feel comfortable before letting them in.
And there's actually quite a few times that I've pulled people over, and I was not dressed like a police officer, and I provided the identification on my badge, and I took their documents. Only one occasion had somebody felt that they didn't believe me, and they called 911, at which time the dispatcher knew I was already on a traffic stop, radioed out to me, and confirmed it was me, and was able to let that person know.
We are definitely here to make sure that everyone knows we're legit, and we're happy. We won't be shocked or offended if you ask. We understand why you're asking, because bad things have happened in the past. You reminded me of a story which I've since forgotten. We're moving on.
Okay.
Let's see here.
Remember your time?
I got 5 more minutes, and
and that's an important meeting.
There's 3 more of these. We got 3 more things that are flagged, and then we'll do dad jokes and get out. Is there no law for helmet? How many riders on electric scooters? I'm terrified for the people I see. So there is a law for helmets. I see a lot of people breaking that law. You're required to wear at very least a bicycle helmet, but you can also wear a motorcycle helmet. Both are acceptable. And in terms of you're talking about electric scooters. Electric bicycles, e-bikes, it's mandatory to wear one. And those are allowed in the city. However, in the city of Toronto, no one's allowed to ride an electric scooter. We're talking about stand-up e-kick scooters. They're prohibited. They are permitted in some areas if the municipality opted in. And if they opted in, you also have to wear a helmet. In Toronto, it's a $110 fine for riding an e-kick scooter. In fact, it's a minimum of a $110 fine. There are additional fines that go up to $500 maximum under the HTA for violating a condition of a pilot project. And they're, of course, responsible for everything else. If they go more than 24 kilometers an hour, they are motor vehicles and can be charged for everything under the HTA.
24 kilometers an hour for an e-kick scooter?
E-kick scooters, 24 kilometers an hour, 32 kilometers for an e-bike. So different standards. They also qualify as motorcycles if you put a seat in them. They're outside of the pilot. They're no longer considered e-kick scooters. They're motor vehicles. So there's a whole bunch of stuff. You can't even put a basket. You can't put your Snickers bar in a basket, because that's carrying cargo, and that takes it out of the pilot, making it illegal.
Snickers.
I do like Snickers.
How many riders are you allowed on each one?
So e-kick scooter, 1. They're designed for 1 person. You can have 1 person on them. E-bikes, however, if they're designed to carry more than 1, you can have more than 1. But majority of them are not designed to carry more, and there's an offense for carrying more than 1 person. There's a whole bunch of stuff. Very often people take for granted that you can buy it, thus it's legal for use.
Right.
It's not the case. And more now than ever, people are importing things themselves from other countries and circumventing all the safety regulations. Look at those one-wheels, the electric unicycles. They are awesome in that they work. People can do, they're like Superman flying through the air. I got a video of a guy on the 427 on one doing 70K. Stupid, not even a helmet on, in traffic on a highway. So not only is that particular electric unicycle illegal anywhere in the province except private property, it is incredibly not a good idea to be on a highway.
I have noticed, though, that the ones that are operating them illegally have full equipment on, like dirt bike equipment with a dirt bike helmet with a chest protector and things like that.
The exoskeleton kind of stuff.
Because, well, I guess they may be expecting that they're going to crash.
Yeah, they know that it's a serious deal. If they do, they're going serious speeds, and they're happy to play with that, but they're totally illegal. And I will tell you this.
Totally
illegal. And I'll tell you this. They're not getting paid by insurance. They're not getting that big payout if they get hurt. They are going to be broken and suffering and probably getting sued by somebody else, but they're not getting paid by an insurance company for. Once you start breaking rules and making up your own, you're unlikely to be able to say, I deserve money from somebody's insurance.
Yeah.
And the videos I've seen of people getting hurt on those, unbelievable. Let's see here.
But they look fun.
They do look fun. and most dangerous things do. Camaro 2.0 says the right to travel is a human right. So why do you need insurance or a license? Do you really need? Yeah.
You can walk anywhere.
Walk all to your heart's content. You can't walk through a border just because you want to. Like the government still controls those borders. There's a group of people selling information or selling a story essentially that you have free reign to do what you want if you're not engaged in commercial business. It's fictional. I don't know where they're getting this or if it was written in the 1800s, but you are not able to do that. If you're operating a motor vehicle, you are going to be conforming to the rules set forth by the government that controls that area, and if you don't get to play.
And you know what? Those rules are only put in place there to keep the greater masses safe from those individuals that don't play properly.
We're here they're there to protect you and everybody else. Can a cop issue a ticket on overspeed at exit ramp? So exit ramp speeds are generally like the suggested ramps are those things that the engineers determine is what is going to allow you in ideal conditions to keep you on the road in that ramp.
A 0G strain on your vehicle and yourself. Those advisory signs, that is what that's there for. What's the maximum speed on your ramp, though?
The actual speed limit of the highway.
Right. So if the actual speed limit is 100,
you could do it.
You could try to do it, but if it says 15 and you're doing 100 and you lose it, you're going to be responsible for everything that happens because of it. If you're driving too fast and putting others in danger, you could, even if you don't crash, you could also be held responsible. So
we're never going to do speed enforcement on that ramp. So really the question is, do we do speed enforcement? Well, no, because we're not sitting there on a turn with a laser to meet you in the middle.
Never say never.
Well, you're right.
Never say never.
You're right. But I'm not standing there waiting for you to lose control and hit me because you're going too fast on a ramp. I'm going to let you go right off that ramp, and we'll collect your business afterwards when we do the collision report. But you're entering a city road at that point. You should be adjusting. Well, he's saying exit ramp. I guess it could be another ramp. Another
exit ramp is still the same as the highway.
To another. True. So we're talking not.
Ramps are included in the highway.
I was thinking off ramp as opposed to exit ramp.
Off ramp is still a
What I'm getting at is you should be preparing for the speed limit you're entering. If you're on a highway to highway exit from one highway to the next, you should be appropriately preparing to merge into that. And if you're getting onto a city street, you should be preparing to be doing the speed limit of that street when you're getting off or merging into traffic.
That would only make common sense, wouldn't it?
Which means people don't actually think about it because there's nothing common about common sense. All right. We got some dad jokes. Now, a scuba dive experience had a question about having 3 properties 1 to 2 blocks from each other. If I buy an ATV for the purpose of maintenance for the property, is it legal to drive the ATV on the side street every day?
Absolutely
not in Toronto, but there are jurisdictions where you're allowed to drive ATVs on the road.
There are recreational ATVs, but not commercial.
Oh, so as soon as you're using it for plowing and maintenance, you're no longer covered by that?
Unless you are a farmer and it is agricultural, an implement of husbandry.
I'm not an ATV guy. I don't do off-road, so I'm glad that you're here to answer that because I wouldn't have an answer.
There's a company that's very close to where I live, and it's a commercial company. It's a landscaping company, and they have some Gator-style ATVs or Kubota-style ATVs that they drive around on the streets, and I've spoken with them once, and I've given the heads up to the local police, and I know they've been ticketed a bunch of times for doing such a thing. So, if you're lawful to drive your ATV in the municipality that you're on the road that the municipality allows you to do it for non-commercial purposes, for enjoyment, absolutely no problem at all. There are speed limits. You have to have to have your headlight on, have to have your helmet on. If it is a speed limit less than 80 kilometers an hour, you can only travel 20, which is pretty slow.
Yeah. It sounds like this is not a good idea. But there are new things coming along. Slow speed vehicles are different than ATVs different than golf carts. So make the best decision for you. This one doesn't sound like a good one for you.
All depends on the whole bigger picture.
Yes. Okay, we're into dad jokes. Last question was answered. We'll be back Monday because there's no show tomorrow. Monday for another show. But let's get into dad jokes. So Akila Draconis has provided three of them, and Daniel has one too. So not all construction works is equally enjoyable. For example, enlarging a hole is. Oh my God, I can't read that.
Why don't you put it up on the screen and let
everyone read along with it?
Yeah.
Not all construction work is equally enjoyable. For example, enlarging a hole is boring, but fastening a piece of metal together is riveting.
I like it.
That is good. But I couldn't read it with the flow the way it was all squished together.
You know what? I really like that one.
It was riveting.
It was.
What do you call a lying
use that one, by the
dictionary?
way.
Yeah, we're going to steal that. What do you call a lying dictionary? A fictionary. I like that one too. It's pretty good. Yeah, to me, it's the squishiness of the text that was having a hard time. This is good, though. No? Okay. Did you hear about the snowspeeder pilot who downed an AT-AT? He was a real hotshot.
You have to put it on screen.
Hothshot. You're
There you
right. I got to get in the habit of getting these on screen because it's hard to read the little print.
Well, put them on screen.
Okay, but I like that. I was trying to get the reveal.
Maybe there was a suggestion to put it on screen.
I think it was a good suggestion. Snowspeeder pilot is. He was a Hothshot. Does anyone know what a Hothshot is? I know one person who does. Can you give us the definition of Hothshot there, mister?
Was a Hoth.
He's the professional here. Are you coming on to explain it?
Hoth is the planet in Empire Strikes Back with Major Battle at the beginning of it, just so we're clear.
Okay.
That's the Star Wars cop.
There you go.
We have the answer. This is the way. Let's see. We have a quote, a dad joke. So Kayla's quote is, we have to let go of all blame, all attacking, all judging to free our inner selves to attract what we say we want. Joe Vitale. I messed that up. But
you really having troubles today.
You know, how many days have we been working straight?
Yes, we have. We both worked all through the weekend.
I'm blaming that. I've messed up reading before,
Yeah.
but so I'm not saying I'm perfect. I find I guesstimate. I jump ahead. I guess what it's saying and it's wrong. It works when I'm reading books. Dad joke. This is from Daniel. I'm putting it on screen. Didn't read it. If it's bad, it's not my fault. Why did the dog not make any money at his first law firm? He only worked on pro bono cases.
I like it.
I like that too.
Very good.
Okay. We already ran the magic of this recruiting video. Do we run it again? I don't know. I think we could. We could.
Yeah, we could go back to the traditional goodbye song.
Oh.
We haven't done that in a while. Or you haven't done that in a while.
Well, we've got this one.
That would be the one.
This is the traffic song. Have a great weekend, everybody. Drive safe, drive sober, drive legally, park legally, smile.
Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow. Watch for pedestrians, look out for bikes, and don't drive like a jerk that no one likes. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Put down your cell phone, nobody needs you to text and drive on the DVP. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Stop at stop signs, look both ways, then go. Seatbelt, save your life indeed. And watch your driving, don't speed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Don't drink and drive or smoke some weed, because you might go to jail and not get free. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow.
That's it. That's all, folks. If you want to hear it again, you can always go to TrafficCop.ca, get all our social media, and watch 672 hours of video that we've created in the last couple of years.